At times I'm asked by people inside comics, what could they be doing to help out comic shops? What could they be doing to make that kind of that effort a little bit better, a little bit easier, a little bit, get their comics sold. And what's curious about the whole thing is that I think about half the time I've got people asking legitimate questions they really want to know, and half the time I'm being asked that question. And usually it breaks down like this: creators who are freelancers, who are on contract or whatever it happens to be, they tend to ask earnestly, what could they do to help? What would help a comic shop? They seem invested and interested, and I think a lot of that is some of them it's good self interest. They understand that if the comic shop is successful and is selling their comics, then the comic creator gets more money because they're selling their work, and so I think that's certainly part of it. But another part of it is I think a lot of comic creators came up from going to the comic shop. Their love started in a comic shop. And especially what I notice is that creators who are in the business, today, like current writers and artists, tend to be legitimately very fond of comic shops and want to help them. And I think that these are all people who grew up without the newsstand by and large. The local comic shop was their comic shop. And that's their source. That's what they know. So they want to keep it alive. And then I think the other half of people, like I said, they're just asking to kind of pretend like they care. And generally, those people tend to be I would say, the more senior people in the company, the more senior editorial, the more the writers who are on staff. And every now and then somebody will reach out and be like, "Hey, what can I do to help a shop? I really care about the shops." I'm like, "Hey, that's cool. You could do these three things." And then it's dead silence. Like I just like, okay, I'll hear from you again in about 3 months, and it just they go away. What's frustrating about that entire situation is that the people who have the ability to help are the people in upper management at the more senior levels of the company. The creators, those people who are reaching out asking how they could help, they have almost no ability to help. I mean, they can help on their own end, and they do. They provide comps, so they provide some information, some marketing. They try and fill in the blanks. Sometimes they get a hold of their editors to get information. But they're the ones who are least connected to the broader publishing efforts. And so on one hand, I'm really glad they reach out and ask. It's nice that they ask. It's helpful. It's very much appreciated. But on the other hand, it's frustrating that the people who actually have the ability to enact kind of meaningful change either don't ask at all, or more likely, there's like 3 or 4 shops that are connected to Joe Casada, for example, and he helps those shops, and he'll keep in touch with those people, and he'll have that network, but he ignores like the 95% of the rest. Now, I know by saying that, by the way, I know that he and other members would strongly object to what I'm about to say, but I mean, the proof is the proof is in the fact. I mean, it's like this isn't really a debatable point. If you go and you talk to other shops, the majority of them get no information, and they're left out largely in the cold. But it's not just about getting in touch with shops, because I think to some people that can be daunting. There's hundreds of shops. How do you communicate with each one? How do you engage with each one directly? That's a hard job to do. I get it. So there are things you can do to help a shop from within the comic company that would go a long ways. I beat up on the publishers all the time for doing really bad solicits. I have yet to meet a comic shop owner that is not just kind of a smartass, who thinks that the solicitations that they get, the basically the information that they go through in order to order, I've never met somebody who's like, yeah, it's really good. The information's great. It's well sorted. It's easy to do. You don't hear that in a world of pretty cheap, easy databases. I mean, like what MySQL is free. I think. I mean, there's tools out there that are, put it this way: if you're Marvel Comics, you could drop, I don't know, $5 a month on hosting at GoDaddy and get a secure website and a database there that you can put stuff in. That would allow retailers, when they're going over to order their comics, to do things like, say, search on a certain creator's name, to be able to quickly pull and sort. the books that are connected to a certain event, to gauge by price. There's a lot of modernization that could happen with the ordering process that would be dead simple and would help retailers immensely. I mean, the pushback that I've got, I mentioned that from time to time. It's like, well, that sounds like a nice idea, but it's an investment. And would that really equal more sales to customers? And the answer is yes, it would. If comic shops could order smarter, they would sell better. That is true. But on top of that, it's kind of a douche move to say, well, this doesn't equate to exact increase of dollars. We don't really care how healthy the channel is or how, easy their job is. That's their problem. No business that wants to stay in business thinks that way. They understand the channel, i.e. the retailer, is an important part of the chain that ultimately makes them money. So you should always be looking for ways to try and make their lives easier, simpler, understand your product offering better, everything else. So on one hand, it's the solicitations. On another hand, it's basic marketing. And again, I've beat up on companies many, many times for this, but it's like, look, you need to do some things that help us sell your comics, that give us information above and beyond the solicitation, whether they're posters, whether they're buy-in opportunities for covers. I hate them, but some comic shops do well with it. Maybe it's easy connections to creators. Maybe as a publisher, you could have a list that you keep on hand that says, here are the creators who are willing to go to a store for a signing, and here's how much they cost. And here's how much it would cost to do that. And here's a stipend that a comic shop can submit to every year that basically would allow co-marketing. DC used to do this, where you could put out some money for some local advertising and DC would reimburse you. And then they kind of abruptly canceled the program with no warning, screwing a bunch of people. But there's a lot of ways that you can increase the overall footprint. There's easy things within your channel to, for example, on HBO Max, you've got a whole DC section in there. Would it be that hard to put a little banner, that doesn't even click anywhere, just visible, that says, if you're enjoying these movies, don't forget to buy the comics. Look for your local comic shop today. Would that be hard to do? Would it be hard to do a little pre-roll ad on those things? You own the channel, you own the content, you own everything about it. You've got people in your office who can make a little PowerPoint slide that says, the comics are available at your local comic shop. Check local listings to find out how. Remind people they could use Google. I don't know. You could do that. That would take about, hell, I do these videos and I put in little pre-roll things there. As is clearly evidenced in the videos, that's taking me all of about, 5 minutes. I'm not spending all day on these things. I've got other things to do. So if I can do that, I think you could do that. But seriously, DC, like Marvel, if I sent you a file that reminded people that there are comics, do you think you could take that to somebody in your streaming department and they could kind of insert it as a pre-roll? I know you could do it. When I go to HBO Max and I click on that, some piece of content you got there, and you do a little pre-roll ad for some other piece of media on HBO Max, do you think you could put up a little still frame? You do it all the time. You have little still frames there, and sometimes says this picture has been formatted to your screen and may be different. That you have that up there. Somebody can figure it out. It's not hard. That would be one thing you could do. But more than anything, I think it's I see these companies outlaying money to do certain events, certain stunts, certain videos, other things. They do it. They pay for that. But they can't make a poster. Like, how about a poster that can go to the shop? It said so. At one point, Marvel decided a good marketing idea would be to send, Hydra shirts to comic shops. Today that those Hydra shirts have been delivered to some. Hey, can you imagine some poor country in Africa that needs clothing? Or maybe the one of the Indian reservations, like the Apache or Navajo reservation, where they're constantly on food and clothing drives, and so companies often dump kind of their excess surplus on the reservations and the people are happy to get it. It's clothes. But I got a picture at some Indian reservation. There's like 400 people running around in Hydra shirts for Secret Empire. They're just getting rid of it. It's a funny thought. Come to think of it. Anyway, I think that the basic thing there is that you need to care. And that sounds so simple, so dumb, like an empty platitude, but you got to, wake up one morning and say, hey, it's my job as senior creative officer, editor, whatever it happens to be, and think, hey, I produce comics. My channel are the bookstores and the comic shops. I seem to have it sort of figured out with the Barnes and Noble and the bookshops, but they're a big box store. They've got their own mechanism. But then I've got this weird collection of all these kind of mom and pop sized comic shops. An independent comic shop, not part of a chain. And man, I should really, if I did like a small thing, like one thing that was repeatable that they all could consume, then maybe I get a 5% lift in sales, and a 5% lift in sales would easily cover the marketing, but also keep that channel happy and alive and motivated to sell my stuff. And then I can kind of keep this cushy job where I contemplate how amazing it was that I broke up Spider-Man's marriage. I mean, yeah, maybe you think that might be something you could do. You got to kind of wake up in the morning and think that, maybe that is a priority. And you got a lot of people out there who are trying to help you. Trying. Like I know so many retailers, not just me, but so many people who have, made their own stuff and sent them to you. They made posters. I know a guy personally, and it's where I got some of the idea, and I've done it myself, where he has gone through the solicitation catalog, has pointed out all the flaws and the errors, fixed it, like taken the stuff. This guy would go onto the website, copy and paste everything into a Word document, reformat it, put it back out, correct, and like send it to the publisher, going, "Hey, I just I'm trying to help you. I just want your stuff to be correct." And never heard, like never even a thank you, and the stuff wasn't used. Just go right into the garbage. I don't know. Like, how do you? I see these people online, and sometimes in the comments saying, hey, it just needs to die. You can't help people who won't help themselves. No, it doesn't just need to die. That's a dumb attitude. But there is truth to the comment of you can't help people who won't help themselves. Like the comic business can be doing much better. All parts of it, the publisher, the retailers. Yeah, I know you're all happy because the business is up, but stop taking credit for Scholastic's numbers, okay? I don't know. I'm glad you have your cushy, 6-figure job. I'm glad you're worth like 3 to 4 million. I'm glad for you. That's a good thing. I'm legitimately happy for your success. Now, how about a little bit more of the doing the job that you're paid for? Just a little bit. I don't know. What do you think? What are things that publishers could do to help out your local comic shop? What have you heard in your shop? What has the owner of your shop ever said to you? What are some ideas? Maybe wonder upon wonder, somebody will come, they'll be drunk, they'll see this video, they'll be inspired for change. That would be swell. Let me know your ideas in the comments below. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Most importantly, though, thanks for listening.